There's a side of Newcastle, Australia that many of its residents may not be aware of. An artistic side which has provided a breeding ground for the many talented individuals who strive to create works which both the artist and the people who live here can be proud of. Music and its performance has been a long-standing tradition here in Newcastle. The prominence of Novocastrian band Silverchair allowed Newcastle, and indeed Australia's musical prowess, to be firmly stamped on the musical map. But over the years, a steady decline in venues willing to allow musicians to perform original material has emerged. Has the talent disappeared, or are there other reasons why the showcasing of such an important artistic medium has floundered? Chaz Jagger manages the View Factory in Newcastle East, a hotspot for original material. He also plays drums for local band The Birds and the Bells. The venue attracts an eclectic spread of all ages and walks of life. Surrounded with a truly unique aesthetic feel, it seems hard to understand why places so full of character and culture have difficulties finding support for local talent. Strangely, this bar represents only a handful of venues that are still willing to showcase Newcastle's diverse musical talent. Chaz had this to say about the local music scene.
The support here in Newcastle in general, regardless of what venue you go to, for some of these local artists is extraordinary. They're great. They're great musicians. I think the talent in Newcastle, there's loads of it, oodles of it. And there's not loads of venues around really doing original music, but the ones that are doing it really well. And we all know for quite some time now the venues, the focus is on revenue, and unfortunately original music doesn't usually guarantee that. The effect of the lockout on original music at live venues, I think that it's had a pretty big effect.
The curfew states that patrons are prevented from entering pubs and bars after 1 a.m, and those already inside can only stay until 3 a.m. It is the only precinct-wide curfew system anywhere in the state. Although the lockout rules put in place in 2008 have hindered unruly behaviour, they have also put a serious strain on Newcastle's nightlife, and consequently musicians and their craft have suffered. Establishments who once catered for original music, such as the now defunct Lucky Country, have been forced to close their doors due to financial difficulties. One musician affected by the decline is Josh Bailey of Newcastle band The Owls. Josh had this to say about the scene and the recent developments.
Lockout definitely has affected live performances everywhere, not just within the band genre, but DJs and alike. Just any sort of performance in Newcastle is sort of going down the tube, I think, with this new lockout thing that we've got. I think it's definitely changing the way live music's presented in that format, and I just think the market is also declining, where people just want to hear whatever, they want to hear what's on the radio. They don't really want to sit down and listen to original kind of stuff, which is sort of a deterrent.
It seems like an uphill battle for musicians in Newcastle. But what can be said about Newcastle's local artists is that they are resilient, creative, and willing to do what it takes to be accepted in an important cultural medium. It might be tough in the Newcastle music industry, but artists here are giving the community a good reason to listen.